roll it into a ball, and then just press it gently round and round and round, and this is forming the base of your pot. Try and make it as round as you can. And there's a pile of papers over there, and I've got many more. If you just take one each, a pad, this is what you're going to construct your pot on. And the reason is that you can move it around like this without constantly moving your pot and endangering it. But
you mentioned that there is no potter's wheel at this time.
That's right.
So it didn't have what we normally think of moving it around. So it would have had to be some sort of slab that they would have, maybe a piece of wood that they could have cut, or
slate,
large bone. It could even be some of the porpoises or whalebone if you're on the coast, but it would have had to be something like that.
Yes.
There's no potter's
Are
wheel.
questions allowed?
Pardon?
Are questions allowed?
Yes, of course, questions are allowed.
Very much
How
encouraged.
do you know there wasn't a potter's wheel at the time?
Because partly we have, A, we know examples, and B, we actually, by looking at the pot, you can tell whether they're wheel made or not. Is that right, Pat?
Slightly
That was the answer I'm
uneven,
seeking.
yes, uneven looking. If it was turned on a wheel, it would be very, very symmetrical. Right, so to make coils, squidge out a piece of clay like this, and you won't be able to roll on the newspaper, so just roll on the table. We can wipe them afterwards. And try, if you see I'm sort of spreading my fingers out and gently, not pressing hard, or else you end up with a very uneven coil, but just be a little patient, roll it out till your coils may be something like about 1 centimetre in diameter. And then you take a manageable size, and what you're going to do is put it around the base like that, and you're going to, I'll hold this up, but I'll turn around so you can see it later, but on the outside you're going to pull the clay up just gently to smooth over the coil, and you'll find you keep having to press it around like that. So can you see what I'm doing? Just pulling the clay up from the base to join onto the coil like that. We'll do that all the way around. And you can see, although there was a space there originally, now there's no space, it's all joined up. If you do end up with a space, you just take another little bit and stick it in there. So, pulling the clay upwards, like so. Now on the inside, do exactly the opposite, and you're taking the clay from the coil and smoothing it down onto the base. Now there's a reason I suggest up on the outside, down on the inside, and it is that, especially when you haven't done this before, there's a terrible tendency for these pots to get wider and wider and wider and collapse. So what you're trying to do is pull it in. So that, by doing that, pulling it up on the outside, you're sort of pushing the coil inwards slightly. So just finish that. Now you can see there's hardly anything built up. You can start to see the beginning of the wall. Okay. Next coil goes on, and again up on the inside, on the outside, sorry.
Actually, the clay we're using here today is a quick air drying clay, so it doesn't need to be fired, so that you can take something home with you that works. But for those who want to, we do have some Unlucky Day clay here. So if you want to try some actual clay that could have been used locally, we do have something like that. Just bear in mind, of course, it will. Well, what happens with natural clay if you take it home now?
Well, it will dry out, but it will be very, very brittle and it will break very easily.
So, but it's up to you whether you want to try the real or whether you want to try something that will actually preserve its shape for a while. One of the things I did ask Pat was, where would they get their clay? You know, it was a case of, would they have actually these pots are so unusual compared to what was before. Would they have actually brought it in? And of course, the only way we know about clay sources to prove it is if we do thin sectioning. If we take a pot or a sherd and look at the thin section and then match that to a clay source that's local. Some of you may remember with the Feats of Clay project in North Keswick, we did this not for pots but for molds for bronze casting. And in that case, we showed that the late Bronze Age people were using local clay, which is why it's Milwaukee Bay. So I suspect the thing is, they probably would have done it here. When we were looking at North Keswick, we were able to find, I think, about 8 different pockets. Some of them big, and some of them just a small pocket of clay. Some of them were actually worked out. The ones over at Culloden, which was one of the main pottery and tile makers. Is that right, Alistair? A tile maker for the time. There was hardly anything left there commercially. And that's, again, we're thinking that some of these pockets that the native people would have used might have been completely worked out. And then they would have had.
Now, you can see that starting to come up. It gets a little bit harder as you go up to do the inside, but if you want to, you could get, I've got some simple wooden tools. I've only stuck to very simple ones that could have been made, I'm very sure, in Bronze Age times. But if you find it easier to get a tool to smooth off on the inside, you can do that. I don't think I need to demonstrate any more than that, or else I'll be taking too much of your time. But what I would like to show you is how you might come to decorate the pots.
Can I ask one question before you go?
Sure.
How do you coil the sinuous shape that these things have?
I mean, well,
now they all have this sort of S-shaped profile.
yeah.
So you have to come in and then go out again.
Yes, I suspect the pot will have more of a mind of its own, actually. but yes, but you will find just by working with the clay, if you want to stretch it out like that, then it will just form a wider shape at the top. If you want then to bring it in, put the coil more on the inside than on the top, and that will start to bring it in again. It's very much something you'll find out by actually doing it rather than me telling you what to do. Is that clear enough?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The other thing I'll just say before we move on to decorating is you can see by all the work that Pat's doing, I'm watching you very carefully on this, Pat, and I can see why there's no way you'd be able to tell whether this was a pinch pot or a coiled pot, because by the time you smooth it all like that,
Yeah.
all that evidence is gone.
But people get lazy.
Okay.
People get lazy, and although they might smooth the outside because they want to decorate it, they're maybe not so careful on the inside.
So
And
you should
so-
look at the inside pots then.
Yeah, I would say that would be the most often the giveaway, that you'll see evidence of the coils where people haven't. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's maybe not necessary, but that's where you would see the coils still in evidence.
And I'll have, when we work with this, just before we start working here, I have some Bronze Age pottery sherds with me.
Mm.
So you can have a look and sort of see if you can tell whether it's coil made or pinched.
Now, in this box, I've got a lot of stuff, like rushes and bits of twine, sticks, pine cones, even some, I don't know what sort of teeth those are, but bits of bone and all sorts of things, which you can use to make the decoration on your pot. Now, I suggest you have a look very carefully at a lot of the illustrations we've got here, because what you will notice is that the type of decoration that was used is very, very symmetrical, very geometric. So, you know, lines going this way, lines going that way, lines going this way, sometimes some circular marks, but whatever it is, it's not random. It's very carefully considered and worked out. I'm just pressing the tools into the surface of the clay. This technique is called impressing.